This is the King James Radio Network, your radio home for North Brunswick Raiders sports, Restoration Place, Timothy Christian Tigers basketball, the Cal Ripken Baseball District Championships, the Ladies of Our Turf Football, and the Jersey Basketball Association.
This is Christian Petrillo, and you're listening to North Brunswick Raiders football on the King James Radio Network.
And yes, this is your Raiders Live pregame presented by the Cal team at Remax Country on the King James Radio Network. Corbett Thompson here at JamesIsKing.com, where tonight Raiders football is on the King James Radio Network as the North Brunswick Raiders will take on the Carteret Ramblers in a GMC crossover matchup. North Brunswick comes in at 5-1 under second-year head coach Mike Sipot, and the Raiders are on a 4-game winning streak. Meanwhile, Carteret, interesting year for the Ramblers. They started off the season at 2-0. They have lost their last 3 to fall to 2-3, including giving up 61 points to Rahway last week in a 61-15 loss. The Ramblers come in under Matt Yasko in his 13th season as head coach of Carteret. And so that is the stage here tonight. North Brunswick trying to keep their winning streak going, trying to get it to 5 in a row. Carteret trying to snap a 3-game skid. New field turf here at Carteret, a $2 million project over the summer and into the fall that was renovated. And if I'm correct, I know Carteret just got on this field recently, not too long ago. It hasn't been that long that Carteret has been on their new field. But, of course, here we are. By the way, my thanks to Athletic Director Grace Kuna for allowing us to come down and do the game tonight. So, with that being said, of course, earlier today, as always, every week I had a chance to catch up with Raiders head football coach Mike Sipot about tonight's game and about the season in general and where the Raiders are and that kind of thing as they look towards the state playoffs. Of course, last week, beating New Brunswick and winning convincingly 40-12. And in that game, the stakes were high in that game in the respect that if Edison had found a way to beat Sayreville last week, then there would be there would be 3 champions in the GMC White Division, a 3-way tie between Edison, Sayreville, and North Brunswick. That did not happen, as Sayreville was able to pull the game out on the very last play literally the last half second of that game, and Sayreville takes home the GMC White Division. And so now the Raiders look ahead to the state playoffs, and it's onward from here. 3 games left in the regular season for North Brunswick tonight. Here at Carteret, their final road game of the regular season, and then 2 more at home next week against Perth Amboy, and then 2 weeks from tonight, senior night against East Brunswick. So with that, I had a chance to catch up with the head coach of Raiders football, Mike Sipot, and here is what he had to say earlier this afternoon.
Here with Mike Sipot as the Raiders get ready to go to Carteret. Final away game of the season, the regular season anyway, until state playoffs, and that's where I'll start with Coach Sipot. Is there any satisfaction here in knowing that you'll be home the next couple of weeks after tonight and you don't have to get on the bus and travel and all of that for at least the next 3 weeks until state playoffs roll around?
Well, anytime you can play at home is a good week. So we're looking forward to coming back home, but we just got to take care of business tonight in Carteret.
Speaking of which, I know this obviously has been a very good run. You guys have been on 4-game winning streak. I think one of the bugaboos for you guys is trying to eliminate penalties. Is there a method to that? Is there just watching tape? Is that the best way to try to figure it out, or is there some other way?
It always goes back to fundamentals. For holding, we got to go back to a blocking circuit. I mean everyone, from receivers all the way down to the linemen. If it's sloppy tackling, we get a penalty for it, we have to do tackle stations. It all goes back to fundamentals, discipline. We do a cadence drill in practice where we have to listen to the cadence and make sure we don't jump off sides. You just have to go back to all those things and keep trying to get better. If we didn't do anything about it, we'd be wrong. But we try to, on Mondays, we try to cover all that stuff in practice.
A win tonight, and you become the first Raiders coach ever to have a winning season in each of your first 2 years. But what does that say about your coaching staff, especially the guys that were here last year that helped you put this thing together and make it into what it is now?
I can't say enough about those guys. They take it one practice at a time, one game at a time, and they're very professional about it. They care about their job. They love their job. They love the kids. I think that has a lot to do with it. We always talk. We're a close-knit group. We're always talking about something football-related and how we're going to get better as a staff and as a team. And I think that, a lot of failing programs, I think, have to go back and look at who they have. You have to trust your guys and let them coach, and you really can't do it all yourself, and I certainly would never do this all by myself. And the fact that the kids bought in the way they did, certainly the senior and junior group, you couldn't ask more for those guys. The fact that they bought in is a big a factor of why we're getting these wins.
The only player that I'm really going to talk about individually this week is Brandon Outlaw, who a couple of interceptions in the last 2 weeks. He picked one off last week against New Brunswick, picked one off the week before. What are you seeing from Brandon right now?
Brandon's a gamer. He's always, he's ready. He loves the grand stage. He loves being on the field during game day. He wants to always shut down their best receiver, and he has in the last couple of weeks. He loves to hit. He loves to tackle. He wants the ball in his hands. We have to push him away sometimes because he wants to be the quarterback. But I'm like, listen, dude, that position's taken. But he's a fun guy to coach, and we really like the way he's been playing lately. And a guy like him and Goose have really taken off this year.
Well, since you mentioned Brandon wanting to be quarterback, I was going to save this for last. But your quarterback Christian Petrillo, how much time? Because I know he took that hit last week where he got tackled into the ground, the shoulder. How much time do you give Chich tonight, and do you let Outlaw play quarterback, especially if you have a big lead towards the end of the game, or the kid Barati last week? How much time do you give Chich tonight?
Like with regards to Outlaw and Mike, they'll be ready, and we have options, but we're going to be smart with Chich. Certainly some safe throws and handing off to guys like Arnold and Miles helps, but we're going to be smart with that, and we have options and answers. We liked how Outlaw and Mike Barati looked in practice, so I think we're good all around in that position.
Carteret, they have some guys on offense that can hurt you. So talk to me a little bit about Zaire Crutchfield's their quarterback. He's a sophomore. James Henderson is their primary guy running the ball, and then they got a couple of receivers, Stephon Kelly Gordon and Jaleel Nix, who you saw last year. Do you see something similar, maybe not as talented as Sayreville maybe, but similar to what their personnel brings?
The receivers that you talked about, they're two very, very big athletic guys. So, we have to make sure we keep an eye on them and make sure, at times we need to double cover or whatever we need to do and make sure we're physical with them. Obviously, James Henderson I like him. I think he's an exceptional back. And I know we had a very big game plan for him last year and especially tonight. We got to contain him. We got to keep him in the box and we got to run to the football and tackle just like any other week. But we know that, we're not taking them lightly. We know their ability, and we got to put pressure on the quarterback.
Again, talking with Raiders head coach Mike Slapot, who got his first win as a head coach last year against Carteret here at Steve Lebro Field in a close game. They don't have their guys, their quarterback or the Brake brothers are gone now. Zamar Brake is transferred out, so maybe that works in your favor.
I want to say I miss them, but I don't. I wish them success in where they are in Pennsylvania, but obviously it was a big loss for Carteret because I thought they were very, very, very tremendous athletes.
In terms of their defense, 61 points Rahway scored on them last week. I'm sure they're going to be out this week to prove that was a fluke and that's not really who they are. Any concerns about them defensively? We see what they do, and we try to attack the weak spots of their defense. And no matter who you're playing, we just try not to look at what they did last week and the other 3 weeks. And we just got to make sure we take care of business tonight and what we do. And obviously we want to run the ball 70-80%. At the attacking their D line, and if they load the box, we have answers for that. So we'll see what they give us. My last question is, as you observed before we started, cool evening tonight. Is there any change in the game plan due to the weather, or is it too early for that?
No, I think the only thing, we'll check the wind, kicking wise for Aaron, kicking in the wind, seeing which way the wind's blowing, but it might, who knows, the pit. Who knows what the weather is there sometimes. It might be different than everywhere else.
New turf field at the pit tonight, so of course the Raiders will get their first look at that. So Coach, thank you and good luck tonight.
Thank you.
There you hear from Raiders head football coach Mike Slapot as we get ready for tonight's game, North Brunswick and Carteret, here from the pit, the aforementioned pit here in Carteret, as the Raiders making a pit stop here to Carteret on their way to the state playoffs. And so the Carteret marching band currently out on the field right now, and they got a large marching band. If I did a count, let me see if I can actually physically count. 4, 8, 9, 13, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23, 25, 26. They started moving now. So I'd say probably upwards of a good 60 members of the marching band. So And that's not including the people on the xylophone dressed in black here in front of us on the sideline. So anyway, but that is Mike Sipot and his thoughts on tonight's game and, of course, where they are in the season. We talked about Brandon Outlaw a little bit. But coming up after the break, our Raider Spotlight will be on Leon Lowry, defensive back and wide receiver. He's a junior, and Leon having a very good year with North Brunswick, his first year on the varsity level. So we'll talk to Leon coming up on the other side of the break. But we are here in Carteret for North Brunswick and Carteret, and we'll be back with our Raiders Live pregame presented by the Cal Team and Remax Country on the King James Radio Network. We come back to our Raiders Live pregame on the King James Radio Network, and again, my thanks to the brother or sister team of John and Deanna Calendrucio over at Remax Country in Milltown. Make sure you look them up, thecalteam.com. But we are here for Raiders football as North Brunswick will take on the Carteret Ramblers, and again, North Brunswick comes in at 5-1, Carteret coming in at 2-3. The Raiders on a 4-game winning streak, Carteret on a 3-game losing streak. So two teams going in two different directions. And when I talked to Matt Yasko, head coach at Carteret, before the game tonight, he said, we're rebuilding, and he says, at least we hope we're rebuilding. That at least if you're rebuilding, you're going in the right direction. So, and Carteret lost a lot of guys, including their quarterback, Zamar Brake, from last year. He transferred to Pennsylvania, to Bethlehem Catholic in Pennsylvania. So, as Coach Sipot alluded to in our pregame segment, so really Carteret starting over with sophomore quarterback Zaire Crutchfield, and so we'll see what he can do tonight against the Raider defense. That they only allowed 12. What they allow, 12 points to New Brunswick, 13 points to Monroe. Woodbridge. I'm trying to memorize up top of my head, and of course, this is why I have papers with me and whatnot, so I can know these things without having to look them up. But allowed 7 points to Woodbridge. So if you add the last 3 games, the Raiders have only allowed 32 points in the last 3 games. So that's an average of almost 11 per game, 10 and change. So, and again, as I mentioned in our chat with Mike Sipot, this is a Carteret offense that can do some damage if you let them. So the Raiders, of course, have to be careful of that. So, with that being said, Leon Lowry, wide receiver and as defensive lineman, and again, 9 sacks on the year for Leon, had a big game against Monroe. So, Leon really coming to the forefront here in the latter part of the season. And so, we had a chance earlier this afternoon over by the locker room to catch up with none other than Leon Lowry of the North Brunswick Raiders. And here is that conversation.
Here with Leon Lowry, who is a junior this year for the Raiders and first-year varsity as the Raiders get ready for Carteret tonight. And so North Brunswick looking to make it 5 in a row. Or check that. Well, they're 5-1, so 5 in a row if they win tonight. First thing I'll throw at you is 9 sacks this year for you. Did you expect going into the season, did you expect to put, the kind of numbers up that you have, or were you just as surprised as anybody?
To be honest, I was kind of surprised. I was just going in to help my team, make big plays at times we need. So to answer the question, no, I wasn't expecting this.
Where does that ability to get to the quarterback come from? Is it just making good reads, or where does that come from? To be honest, it's all about the coaching. The coaching just tell you, read your keys, do your job, don't just play football, be a football player. So that's what I've been doing, and reading my keys, and that's how I was able to get to the quarterback. How do you feel like your defense is against the run? A lot of teams will try to run the football against you. How do you feel like you're doing against the run? I think we're doing actually very well. Just like I said, the 3 guys on the line, the linebackers, the DBs, we all just got to run to the ball secure, make sure we wrap up, and just do our job. And for you yourself, you feel like you're able to get to them and wrap them up pretty good? Yes. Were you able to, you mentioned the coaches before, were you able to pick up the system pretty fast, or did it take some time to figure out what they wanted you to do? To be honest, it took some time, but they go through step by step, make sure you got it, you get a lot of reps, so after a while it gets pretty easy because they won't stop working with you until you got it, and with the coaching we have, I think they did a pretty good job with it. What was the hardest part? The hardest part is probably reading the guards, the tackles. You have to see if they're pulling, and don't run upfield, contain outside. So I guess I'd say that was the hardest part. On the offensive side of the ball, you caught your first touchdown pass last week. So what was that like? It was very exciting. I got my first touchdown as a Raider. Very excited. Teammates were excited. It felt pretty good. Do you feel like you can out jump or reach over defenders trying to, obviously knock down a pass or intercept or whatever? Do you feel like you have an advantage that way?
Well, yes, but it's all about timing. Who's more physical? Who wants it more? And then when the ball's in the air. So, yeah, it all comes to that.
When you're, as you go through these next 3 games getting ready for state playoffs, and I know Coach was just talking to us about, states and who you guys might face, but, as you get ready here, these next 3 games, what are you working on?
Well, we just take it game by game, focus on what team we play first, and we worry about the next team when that time comes. But right now, we're just worrying about Carteret, and we're trying to come up with the win. But knowing that we have a spot in the playoffs is very, very flattering to me. But we need to keep working hard because we're not comfortable where we are. We want to win a state championship.
And in your own game, what are you working on? Anything technique-wise or anything?
I still need to work on reading my keys so that I'm not running upfield because it's hard. It's not everything's easy. You got to keep working. There's always something to improve on.
Who's the toughest of the teams you played this year? Like who was the toughest that maybe Sayreville? Who was the toughest that that just gave you a hard time on the D line?
To be honest, it wasn't all right. So we just let ourselves down with penalties and stuff like that. But to be honest, I think we have a shot to play anybody in the state. We have determination. We work hard for it. I would pick anybody on my team over anybody in the state because I have faith in my guys. So I think that the reason we lost, it was our own mental mistakes and physical mistakes. So yeah, I think we.
I got you. I'll be more specific towards you. Like when you're lining up, which team you feel like gave you the hardest time?
Well, I started playing DN against Edison, so probably Woodbridge because they had a really big dude. But I still doesn't matter. Size doesn't matter. You got to keep working, make plays, and that's what I did. But probably Woodbridge, for me.
I think I know what you're talking about. Jordan Harris, number 75. Yes. That guy is, like you said, he's huge. Do you have to use whatever speed you have at that point to try to get around him?
Yeah, probably his speed because you didn't want him to run straight into him and get his hands on you because it wouldn't end up well.
Yeah, it wouldn't have looked pretty, I don't think. One more for Leon Lowry here. Obviously, the goal is you guys want to win a state championship. How close do you feel you guys are?
Well, we come a long way, but we still have a lot to achieve. But I feel like we're on the right path. Everybody needs to do their job. And once again, credit to the coaches because they've been with us throughout the whole way. Early morning workouts in December. The difference in practice, just all credit goes to them. We just keep putting the work in, and I feel like we achieve our goal.
Well, congratulations on a good season so far, and good luck to you guys tonight, and thank you for a few minutes. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
All right, there you hear from Leon Lowry, who has had an exceptional, 2-3 games here for the North Brunswick Raiders as the Raiders get ready to take on Carteret. As the marching band looks like they're done. The color guard is out here. The Ramblers taking the field. The Raiders are already on the field. And so with that, quickly keys to the game. We'll go through this date in Raiders football history, and then we'll get to the start of the game. But keys to the game is this: penalties. We talked about it with Mike Sipot before. Penalties. The Raiders have to cut down on their penalties. Flagged for 8 penalties last week for 63 yards. Want to cut down on that, especially getting ready for the state playoffs. In terms of offense, keep doing what you're doing. Christian Petrillo suffered that shoulder injury last week at quarterback, so you have to keep an eye on him and how much time does he get here and all of that. So that's Miles Bailey, obviously the main man that is the heart of the Raiders offense and makes it go. So defensively, the Raiders will try to force some turnovers, of course, and try to stop the Carteret receiving game. Mike Sipot was big on that. So with that, we'll take a break for the national anthem. We'll come back and go into our live game coverage. North Brunswick and Carteret. We'll break, and we'll come back on the King James Radio Network.
It's time for this date in Raiders football history as we take a look back at some of the past highlights of North Brunswick Raiders football. And on this date, October the 12th, 1984, North Brunswick defeats Carteret 26-7. The Raiders racked up 328 yards on the ground, with 104 of them coming from Tony Palumbo, which he did on 7 carries. Rudy Smith punched in a couple of scores as well. The Raiders' defense held Carteret to 9 rushing yards in the second half. In 2001, it was North Brunswick over New Brunswick 42-32 to move to 5-1 on the season. Chris Arnold Sr. 29 carries, 188 yards, and 4 touchdowns. The Raiders forced 6 zebra turnovers, including 2 interceptions by Crimson Marrero. That is a look at this date in Raiders football history. We'll be back with more of North Brunswick Raiders football on the King James Radio Network. This week at Restoration Place, The Lazarus Conspiracy by Pastor John Bazemore Jr.
Sometimes you just don't feel good about who you are. And most of the time when we feel this way, it's when we focus on ourselves. And this is when we begin to conspire against other people.
Restoration Place, on demand on the King James Radio Network at jamesisking.com.
This is the King James Radio Network, your radio home for North Brunswick Raiders sports, Restoration Place, Timothy Christian Tigers basketball, the Cal Ripken Baseball District Championships, the Ladies of Our Turf football, and the Jersey Basketball Association.
This is Christian Petrillo, and you're listening to North Brunswick Raiders football on the King James Radio Network.
We are the North Brunswick Raiders cheerleaders. It's time for Raiders football on the King James Radio Network.
You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. That's the great thing about sports. You play to win. And I don't care if you don't have any wins. You go play to win. When you start telling me it doesn't matter, then retire. Get out.
And it's a pleasant Friday evening to one and all, and we welcome you to the Pit in Carteret, New Jersey, where tonight Raiders football is on the King James Radio Network, as tonight the North Brunswick Raiders take on the Carteret Ramblers in a GMC crossover matchup. As Carteret and North Brunswick meet at midfield, I'm in basketball mode already. Number 4, James Henderson, out there for Carteret as one of the captains. They only have 2 captains from what I can see. So James Henderson out there at midfield for Carteret, along with number 50, Faizan Khan. And so the captains, of course, for the Raiders are Sean Berhini, Christian Petrillo, Angel Gonzalez, and Miles Bailey. So the coin toss taking place right now. The Raiders in their white jerseys with the gold numbers trimmed in blue pants, blue helmets with a double gold stripe down the middle, the player jersey number to the right of the helmet. And Carteret in their blue jerseys with the white numbers, white pants, blue helmets. And so, again, the coin toss taking place, so we'll see what happens here. Looks like Carteret will receive. They won the toss. Looks like they will receive. They have the logo, the word Ramblers, inscripted on the side of the helmet, similar to what the Giants logo would be from last night's game against the Eagles. Of course, if you're a Giants fan, that's a complete, other debacle for another day. But again, it looks like Carteret will receive the opening kick here. It's just a matter of which direction they're going to go in. And again, Carteret comes in at 2-3 under head coach Matt Yasko, and the Raiders come in at 5-1 under their head coach Mike Sipot. So again, Carteret coming off of a 61-15 loss to Rahway last week. Meanwhile, the Raiders beating New Brunswick 40-12 over at Memorial Stadium in New Brunswick. Oh, now we get the coin toss. Okay, I thought they did it already, but the coin toss now looks like the Raiders win the toss. So they will elect to receive. And so they're got one official writing it down here. All right, now we're going to get... So the Raiders win the toss. They will receive. And they will go from right to left. So that is how we will start things here tonight. Glad you're with us. And let's see. We'll check our game time temperature here in just a second. Our game time temperature is presented by the Weather Channel. And so, by the way, my thanks to the PA guy over in the booth to my right for reading the announcements for KJRN. Very much appreciate it. But looks like it's a clear night here in Carteret. Chilly. The fall has certainly set in here in New Jersey, so no question about that. And so now we just have to deal with it. So it is partly cloudy skies this evening, 56 degrees at kickoff. And so last minute instructions from head coach Mike Sipot and company. And, for North Brunswick, really, again, we mentioned the penalties and trying to cut down on that. So aside from that, I would say for North Brunswick, just taking care of the ball, no turnovers. You want to have a clean game there if you can. And so, we'll see what happens there. But I'm trying to set myself up in the press box here, so you'll have to forgive me here. This is a unique setup here at Carteret. So let's see. I'm going to try to see if we can figure out who's kicking off here in just a moment. It looks like for Carteret, kicking off will be number 39, and that is Luis. Let's see. Of course, I don't have my glasses. I have my glasses here. I can't see what I'm doing. Luis Galindo will kick off for the Ramblers. So let me get my glasses here, navigate that. So, yeah, Galindo will kick off from left to right. 2 men back deep for the Raiders. Miles Bailey to the near side. Referee blowing the whistle here. Looks like, what do we got? Do we have an equipment issue? The referee over by the far side. He's pointing at the equipment, the gear of Chris Arnold. I'm sorry, DeMonte Blunt. Wrong number. DeMonte Blunt is back there deep. DeMonte Blunt and Miles Bailey back deep. Galindo. And the whistle blows on the kickoff here. So wait a minute. We got a stoppage. Not sure what it is. Like I said, they were talking to DeMonte Blunt about equipment. Maybe the refs just weren't ready. I don't know. But they're going to kick it again. So Galindo will kick this again. So apparently the referees were not ready. And so glad you're with us at jamesisking.com as we kick off game number 7 for the Raiders. Again, 5-1 on the season. And again, I'm trying to listen to the public address to see what the issue was, but Carteret will reset and kick off again here from left to right. So again, back deep is DeMonte Blunt on the far side and Miles Bailey on the near side. Galindo with a line drive kick, and it gets over to Blunt at about the 17. Straight up the middle, 20, 25, 30, 35, still going, 40, and finally tackled. Kind of hydroplanes to midfield, but they'll probably mark him down around the 48. And so that's where the Raiders will start, 1st and 10. Senior quarterback Christian Petrillo is under center. And so Petrillo will lead the offense. 6 touchdowns and 3 interceptions for Chich. And the referees are not ready yet, apparently, to start things. But it looks like they will mark it at midfield, by the way. So 1st and 10 Raiders from the 50-yard line. A full 12 minutes on the clock. Raiders with two receivers lined up to the left. And Miles Bailey lined up behind Christian Petrillo. Of course, Petrillo on the season. We'll get to Chich's numbers here in just a second. As Bailey now moves to the left of Petrillo, out of the shotgun, takes the snap, hands off to Miles Bailey, stiff arms a man right, and into Carteret territory, forced out of bounds at about the 43. Looks like Faizan Khan, one of the guys forcing him out. Gain of 7 for Bailey. It'll be 2nd down and 3 from the 43-yard line of the Ramblers. So we mentioned Christian Petrillo. 44-77 this year, 499 yards, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I think I said 6 before. 353 rushing yards with 4 touchdowns on the ground. And it looks like we got a penalty. Looks like we got a penalty here on Carteret. They're moving it forward. Looks like holding against the Ramblers is the call. It's going to go all the way down to the Carteret 28-yard line. So 7 yards for Bailey and then tack on 15 more at the end of the run. So 1st down Raiders at the Carteret 28. Petrillo out of the shotgun. Will take the snap, pitches to Bailey on the near side, cuts it back in, and gets about a yard maybe before he is brought down. Tackled by number 2, Jaleel Nix. Nix had the back of Bailey's jersey. So it looks like no gain. And it will be 2nd down and 10 from the 28. Trips right. Petrillo out of the gun. Bailey to his right. Takes the snap, dropping back, throws it right, completes it to Aaron Hart, the 29, 25, and he's going to be inside the 20 and near the sideline. But R brought down inside the 20 and about the 17. Good enough for Raiders first down. Aaron R coming up on the top 10 receptions list in Raiders history. So first and 10 North Brunswick at the Carteret 16. So we'll call it again at 12. Petrillo, another shotgun, Bailey behind him. Chich takes the snap, and he'll go ahead and hand off to Bailey straight up the middle. 10, spins out of a tackle towards the 5, and he is stopped there. So the Carteret defense able to get a tackle there. Led by number 24, Anai Break, on the stop. So again, some power running from Bailey. Looks like they got enough for a first down. It'll be first and goal Raiders from the 5-yard line. Petrillo once again another shotgun. Bailey behind him. Takes the snap. Hands off to Bailey. And off tackle left. Touchdown North Brunswick Raiders. Page 7 of the bailout plan from Miles Bailey. And the Raiders take a quick 6-0 lead. Now, the clock never got started. So I don't know if the actual game clock is just not operational or if they just didn't bother to start it, one or the other. So don't ask me how much time is left in the quarter, but looks like they'll keep the time on the field. Well, now they got it, 10:26. All right. So Aaron R will kick the extra point. Petrillo to hold, snap, spot, line drive kick, and it looks like it missed to the left, and it did. So extra point, no good. And so with 10 minutes and 26 seconds remaining in the first quarter, the Raiders lead it by a score of 6-0. We will break, and we'll come back in a moment with North Brunswick Raiders football on the King James Radio Network. We get the ensuing kickoff and running it to the 20-yard line, and not much further than that on the return. Couldn't quite catch that. Looked like it was Nazir Anderson on the return. So it will be first and 10 Carteret from their own 21-yard line. And again, sophomore quarterback Zaire Crutchfield will take the field here for the Ramblers. Crutchfield, 521 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And so Crutchfield will work out of the shotgun here on first down. And we get movement on the Carteret line, flags down. And so it'll be a false start, or offside, if you will, is the signal against the Ramblers. So that will move things back 5 yards. First and 15 from the 16-yard line. And so actually, I don't see Crutchfield at quarterback. And, did the Raiders recover Christian Petrillo on the run? So there must have been I didn't catch a fumble, but I guess I just flat missed it. The Raiders must have recovered a fumble, so that's my bad. Christian Petrillo with the ball for the Raiders. I'm like dead set on my binoculars. But Christian Petrillo with the ball. So the Raiders then recovered a fumble on the kick. I did not see a signal or anything that told me it was Raiders football. So with that being said, the Raiders had it first and 10 on the 21. Christian Petrillo runs it down to the 17. This time they give to Chris Arnold, who goes in for a North Brunswick Raiders touchdown. So Petrillo for 9 yards to the 12, and then Chris Arnold from 12 yards out, and the Raiders quickly have a 12-0 lead. So Aaron R. will kick the extra point. Snap, spot, kick is down, or up rather. Spot is down, kick is up, and it is good. So yeah, I did not see any signal from the referees that there was any type of fumble whatsoever. I just assumed Carteret had the ball, so that's my fault. But the Raiders, recovering a fumble on the ensuing kickoff, they take advantage of it on 2 plays. Christian Petrillo with a 9-yard run from the 21 to the 12. And then Chris Arnold with his second rushing touchdown of the year punches it in from 12 yards out. So, with that being said, the Raiders had themselves a quick 12-0 lead here. Just to give you Arnold's stats, actually that's his third rushing touchdown, 334 rushing yards coming into tonight. He does have a 100-yard game on the season. And so I'll be a little more attentive here on the kickoff for Carteret. R will kick from right to left. A high kick going over to the far side, heading towards the end zone. Yep, picked up at the 1 and brought down by Leon Lowry is number 44, Nazir Anderson. So this time Carteret holds on to it. And now Carteret will have their first possession, 1st and 10. So the Raiders, in a matter of 2 minutes, have taken a 13-0 lead. So Carteret will have it 1st and 10 at the 12-yard line. So now we should see sophomore quarterback Zaire Crutchfield. So 1st and 10 from the 12. And again, I still don't see Crutchfield, which means I'll have to tell you who the new quarterback is, or who the quarterback is. As out of the shotgun, takes the snap. He'll try to run right and runs into a bunch of Raiders. Gets nothing. Loss of 2. That is actually James Henderson taking the snap. So maybe trying to run a little Wildcat. So loss of 2 on the play, back to the 10. 2nd and 12 from the 10-yard line. With 9:27 to go in the first quarter, ball lined up on the right hash for Carteret. And now Zaire Crutchfield is back there. Out of the shotgun, split backfield. Crutchfield takes the snap, drops back, left-handed throw, going left, intercepted! That's Brandon Outlaw! Touchdown, North Brunswick Raiders! It's a pick 6 for Brandon Outlaw! You've just been outlawed by Brandon Outlaw! For the 3rd week in a row, Brandon Outlaw with an interception. And on top of that, Outlaw delivers the Raiders' first pick 6, the first interception return for a touchdown by a Raiders defender since Jalen Hobdy did it on October 5th, 2012. 6 years and 1 week ago today. Aaron R for the extra point. Snap, spot, and kick is up. It is good. And so with 9 minutes and 10 seconds left to go in the first quarter, the Raiders lead it by a score of 20-0. We'll break, and we'll come back with Raiders football on the King James Radio Network.
This week at Restoration Place, The Lazarus Conspiracy by Pastor John Bazemore Jr.
Sometimes you just don't feel good about who you are. And most of the time when we feel this way, it's when we focus on ourselves. And this is when we begin to conspire against other people.
Restoration Place, on demand on the King James Radio Network at jamesisking.com.
We'll call it a 20-yard interception return for Brandon Outlaw to score the touchdown. And now Aaron R will kick a high kick over to the far side, picked up by Anderson. He'll run it back from the 10. 15, skips a man, and now he is brought down at about the 17-yard line. Chris Arnold, among others, bringing him down. And so it will be 1st and 10 for Carteret. Ball will be spotted at the 17-yard line. So Zaire Crutchfield's first pass is intercepted and returned for a touchdown. Crutchfield will work out of the shotgun this time. Henderson behind him. Takes the snap. Hands off to Henderson, going around the edge to the right. 25 and is forced down at about the 30. Sean Brahini, or check that, the 25 rather. Sean Brahini brings him down. So Carteret will try to establish a run game here. Gain of 8 for Henderson, 2nd down and 2 from the 25-yard line. With 8:32 to go in the first quarter. And the Raiders with a quick 20-0 lead. Crutchfield out of the shotgun, going in motion is Stephon Kelly Gordon to the far side, takes the snap, hands off to Henderson, going around left, 25, and around the edge, 30, and out of bounds, flag down at the end of the play. And we'll see what this is. Flag down at the end here. So we'll see what the call is. It looks like Henderson would have enough for a first down, but I think it's going to be against Carteret. Yep, holding against the Ramblers. And so it will come back. So yeah, this one will come all the way back. We'll see where it ends up. But holding against Carteret. It'll come back to the 19-yard line. So it'll be 2nd and 8 from the 19. This time Crutchfield out of the shotgun, 2 backs to his right, including Henderson. Coming in motion on the near side is Gordon. He gets the handoff and on an end around and is tackled. Tackled by Samad Wingo at about the 23. So Stephon Kelly Gordon on the carry. Gordon has 126 yards receiving with a touchdown. So Carteret will bring up 3rd down here. Ball is spotted at the 23, so 3rd down and 4 from the 23. Crutchfield out of the shotgun. This time, Henderson to his right. Gordon in motion to the left. Takes the snap. Hands off to Henderson. And goes left side. Stutter steps. First down. Miles Bailey making the tackle at about the 26. Actually, before I say first down, let's see. Looks like they're a yard short. So Carteret a yard short of the first down at the 26, so that will bring up 4th and 1. We'll see if the Ramblers go for it here. And it looks like they will do just that. So Carteret down 20-0 here. Not even halfway through the first quarter. They'll go for it on 4th down. 4th and 1 from the Carteret 26-yard line. Henderson in the backfield. Crutchfield out of the shotgun. And Crutchfield takes the snap, hands off to Henderson straight up the middle, and I don't think he got it. He did not. Wingo, Tyrell Pereira, among others, making the stop. And it looks like Henderson is going to fall short here. And Carteret will turn it over on downs. So the Raiders will have it 1st and 10 from the Carteret 26-yard line. Now I would have to go back into the archives of Raiders history to find out when's the last time they scored this many points in the first quarter. But 1st and 10 as Christian Petrillo will work out of the shotgun here. 2 receivers right. Petrillo. We got Brahini in motion to the near side here. Petrillo takes the snap, hands off to Bailey, straight up the middle, now spins right and gets to about the 21 before he is tackled there. On the tackle for Carteret, number 55, Zaire Gilbert. And so it'll be 2nd down. So second down here. Petrillo will work out of the gun. Ball is at the 26-yard line. Petrillo hands off to Bailey, 21, and Bailey almost horse-collared, but gets inside the 15, down to about the 13. So that'll be good enough for a Raider first down. And so ball is spotted at the 14-yard line, gain of 3 for Bailey. It'll be first down and 10. Split backfield. Petrillo will work out of the shotgun. Bailey to the left, Arnold to the right. Takes the snap, hands off to Bailey, goes around the man, and is stood up by Anderson at the 10-yard line. Nazir Anderson on the tackle for Carteret. I apologize to the folks that we lost our live feed to. I'm not sure exactly what happened. Probably lost signal at some point. But if you're just tuning in, the North Brunswick Raiders, with 5 minutes left here in the first quarter, lead the Carteret Ramblers by a score of 20-0. Christian Petrillo out of the shotgun. Bailey to his left. Chris Arnold to his right. Takes the snap. Rolls right. Looking. Turns. Throws right. And completes it. Did he stay in bounds? He did. Touchdown, North Brunswick Raiders. Trying to see who made the catch. That would be Aaron R. Aaron R. makes the touchdown catch. Stayed just inside the sideline after he crossed the goal line on the far side. So the touchdown completion to Aaron R. For Aaron, that is his third touchdown reception of the year. He now reties Tyree Geaston for the club lead. R will kick the extra point. Petrillo to hold. Snap, high snap. Petrillo gets it down. R's kick. It is good. And the North Brunswick Raiders, with 4 minutes and 38 seconds left to go in the first quarter, have a 27-0 lead over the Carteret Ramblers here at the pit in Carteret. We'll take a break, and we will come back in just a moment. Here from Carteret, you're listening to North Brunswick Raiders football, and it's on the King James Radio Network.
As a quarterback in the NFL, if I didn't stay focused, I ended up my back first. Even the smallest distraction could make a good play. Offensive drive. You're in the clear, the smallest distraction could end much more than a drive. It could end someone's life. Just like I refuse to lose. I refuse to lose someone I love to distract. Focus on the road. Don't try to distract them. The message from
We come back now to Raiders football as Aaron R. will kick this off. And it goes over to the far side. This is a high kick, catching it at the 2-yard line to the 10, 15, near side, back inside. Nope, he's going to be wrapped up by Chris Arnold on the return for Carteret number 10, Justin Lee. And so the Ramblers will have it first and 10, but the Raiders lead it 27-0 with 4.5 minutes remaining in the first quarter. You heard me, first quarter. And so first and 10, Carteret from the 16-yard line. And again, sophomore quarterback Zaire Crutchfield will head back out here for the Ramblers. Of course, if you remember 2 years ago, we'll talk about that in a minute, as Crutchfield out of the gun here. And he'll take the snap, hands off to James Henderson, up the middle, and nothing there, really. The Raiders interior, Tyshawn Parson, among others, on the stop. Tyrell Pereira over there, G.D. Macelis on that Raiders front, Leon Lowry, of course. So no gain for Henderson. It will be second and 10, Carteret from their own 16-yard line. But if you remember, of course, 2 years ago here at the pit in Carteret, Carteret put it on the Raiders pretty bad, 40-0. And the Raiders do remember that. Of course, the Raiders beat Carteret last year for Mike Seipot's first win as head coach. Crutchfield will work out of the shotgun with Henderson behind him. As he squats down now 3 times, takes the snap, fakes to Henderson, rolling left. And Crutchfield will throw it left, too high, incomplete. Couple of guys in the area for Carteret, but it looks like Looks like he was trying to go to number 7, Masai Benekin. Sean Brahini on the coverage. And so that will bring up 3rd down and 10. We have 3:39 to go. The goalpost is blocking my view of the scoreboard here, the upright. 3:39 to go in the first, 27-0 Raiders. Crutchfield will work out of the shotgun, squats once, squats twice, takes the snap, high snap, pulls it down, rolling right, turns, he's going to throw it. It's a high throw near the sideline, incomplete. He's lucky he threw that out of bounds. Chris Arnold was closest to DeMonte Blunt was closest to the ball more than anybody. And so Carteret will be forced to punt on 4th and 10. So we'll see if the Raiders go for the block here. Now keep in mind, of course, we talked about periodically throughout the course of the season about the Bourne Power Index and how that affects blowouts in particular, whether or not you decide to blow a team out by more than what you already do. But Carteret will punt, high snap, and punt gets away from the 5-yard line, and Miles Bailey will hand off here and tackled. Bailey tried to hand off to Tyree Geeston, and he is tackled at the 47-yard line. And so the punt for Carteret was number 12, Cam McCargo, who was the backup quarterback for the Ramblers. Imani Roman, number 21, on the tackle of Geeston. So 1st and 10 Raiders at the Carteret 46-yard line with 3:22 to go here in the first quarter. And so Christian Petrillo getting his offense set. Leon Lowry wide to the left. Aaron R. wide to the right. Petrillo will work out of the shotgun with Chris Arnold behind him. Petrillo looking for the sideline for the play. And now Chich will take the snap and hands off to Arnold and goes right, breaks a tackle, 40, near side, 35, weaves his way to the 30, still going, 25, and he is brought down at the 23. Stephon Kelly Gordon on the tackle for the Ramblers. A power run from Chris Arnold. And so ball is spotted at the 28. So 1st and 10. And so out of the shotgun, Chich takes the snap, looking right, throws it right not end zone, but looking for Bailey at the 5-yard line. Incomplete. Threw it into Bailey was double covered. It looks like we got a flag on the play at the 10-yard line. And now another flag comes in at the end. So we got another flag here at the end. Somebody said something. So now the referees will have to sort this out. I think the referee was about to announce the first penalty when the second flag came in. And I think it's going to be on Carteret. Unsportsmanlike on the Raiders. Okay, so unsportsmanlike on the Raiders. I think we had some type of illegal substitution on Carteret. So the penalties then, no, unsportsmanlike on the Ramblers. Now he's pointing the other way. Okay, so they'll take the unsportsmanlike then. Unsportsmanlike on the Ramblers. So it was Carteret that said something that they shouldn't have. So ball is at the 13-yard line, so it looks like half the distance to the goal. So it'll be 1st and 10 from the 13 then, with 2:57 to go in the first, and this game already out of hand as the Raiders lead at 27-0. Miles Bailey with a touchdown, Aaron R. with a receiving touchdown, as the referees talk to head coach Matt Yasko. But looks like we're ready to go. Chris Arnold with a touchdown. So the PBA added again. Bailey and Arnold with touchdowns. R with a touchdown and a pick six from Brandon Outlaw. So 1st and 10 Raiders here from the 13. Check that. Inside the 10, rather, at the 8. Give is to Bailey. Spins out of one tackle. Spins out of another tackle. And he'll be wrapped up, though. Nice effort by Bailey, but he'll be wrapped up. Tackle made by number 11, Devontae Thorington. So ball is at the 10-yard line. And so it's second and goal, actually. 1st and goal and now 2nd and goal from the 10. House formation around Petrillo here. Out of the gun, takes the snap, hands off to Bailey. Going right, 10, 5, right side, goal line, touchdown, North Brunswick Raiders. Touchdown number 2 on the night from Miles Bailey. Page 8 of the bailout plan. And the Raiders now lead it 33-0. And we are still in the first quarter. So Aaron R. will kick the extra point. Christian Petrillo to hold. R is getting plenty of work tonight. Snap, spot, kick is up, line drive kick, and it is good. So, with 2 minutes and 13 seconds left in the first quarter, you heard me, the first quarter. The North Brunswick Raiders 33. The Carteret Ramblers nothing. We'll break. We'll come back on the King James Radio Network. Taking back the kickoff at the 10-yard line, coming to the near side, 20-25, and being tackled at the 25 is Devontae Thorington. And so Carteret will have it. 1st and 10 here. So the Ramblers will have it 1st and 10 from the 18-yard line. All right, looks like we're back on our live feed. For some reason, we keep cutting out, so I apologize for that. But Carteret will have the football here with 2:04 to go in the first quarter. 1st and 10 Ramblers. And they'll have the ball at the 15-yard line. Trying to keep track of where the ball is with all the lines on the field and everything. The Raiders lead it by a score of 34-0. The latest score, Miles Bailey's 2nd touchdown run of the night. Meanwhile, handoff to Henderson. He goes around the corner and breaks one tackle, 20-25 to the far side. And he is tackled there. Sean Brahini on the tackle. So James Henderson on the run. And do we have a flag? Yes, it looks like we do. We have a flag back at the 17-yard line. So let's hold everything. But Miles Bailey with 2 touchdowns on the night. Holding against Carteret, so it'll come back. But Miles Bailey with 2 touchdown runs. Aaron R. with a receiving touchdown. Chris Arnold with a rushing touchdown. And Brandon Outlaw returning an interception for a touchdown on a pick 6. And that is how we got to 34-0. North Brunswick with 1 minute and 54 seconds left in the first quarter. The first quarter, you heard me. Now we got a penalty against the Raiders. I don't know. The referees have kind of been all over the place tonight. And we're only in the first quarter. So with that being said, ball is at the 23-yard line. So if the penalty's against the Raiders, and I guess they called holding on North, then it's going to be wouldn't it be first down? If the penalty's against the Raiders, wouldn't it be first down? But, all right, so we'll call it 2nd and 2 from the 23. So out of the shotgun is dropping back to pass. That's McLaughlin. He throws it and incomplete. McCargo, rather. Cam McCargo was in at quarterback. His pass was intended for Masai Bennigan. And so incomplete. And it'll be 3rd down and 2. All right. I have a hard enough time just keeping up with the game on my own. I don't need the referees to add in extra work. 3rd and 2 from the 23. With 1:31 left in the first quarter, and again, the Raiders lead at 34-0. The Raiders have yet to have a running clock this year, by the way. They might have one, but before halftime, who knows? But technically, that'll start in the second half. So Cam McCargo in at quarterback. He's out of the shotgun, takes the snap, fakes one handoff, gives to Henderson, and he is stuffed in the backfield. Nothing doing there. G.D. Marcellus getting back there to bring Henderson down. So a loss on the play. It'll be 4th down at the I'm trying to follow the line. There's a yellow line in between the 15 and the 20, and it's throwing me off at the 18-yard line. So a loss of 5. 4th and 7 from the 18. Carteret will punt. So McLaughlin, I keep calling him McLaughlin. Cam McCargo will punt. He's a transfer from St. John Vianney. Short kick here, bounces at the 40, hits a Raider, and falling on it at the Carteret 44 is Miles Bailey. Smart play by Bailey there. So the Raiders will have it 1st and 10 at the Carteret 44-yard line with 43 seconds to go here in the first quarter. Ball is actually at the 44. And so now 2 receivers right. Christian Petrillo with Miles Bailey to his right, Chris Arnold to his left. Will work out of the shotgun, takes the snap, hands off to Arnold, goes right, 45-40, and just slowed down enough and tackled at the 35. So another big run for Chris Arnold. Devontae Thornton on the stop. So that is a 21-yard gain for Arnold. It'll be 1st and 10. Oh, check that. I'm sorry. I'm thinking wrong here. 2nd and 1 from the 35. 9-yard gain for Arnold. 2nd and 1 from the 35. Petrillo out of the gun. Takes the snap. Quick throw to the left. Completes it. 35-30. And in between 2 tacklers is Sean Brahini making the catch down at the 20. Gordon on the tackle along with Nix. That will end the first quarter. 15-yard gain there on the pass to Brahini. But that will end the first quarter as we have played one here at the pit in Carteret. And yes, you heard me correctly. North Brunswick 34, Carteret nothing. We'll break. We'll come back with the second quarter on the King James Radio Network. We come back now for the second quarter. North Brunswick 34, Carteret nothing. You heard me. I'll have to look up the last time. I don't think the Raiders ever scored that many points in the first quarter. So, before the snap, as Christian Petrillo was working out of the shotgun with Miles Bailey to his right. I don't know if the referees just aren't ready. We've been dealing with that since the beginning of the game. But 1st and 10 Raiders from the Carteret 20. And now Carteret looks like might be an equipment issue with the Ramblers here, so they'll have to get somebody else in. So maybe that seems to be the issue. Number 45, Robert Weber, going in for Carteret. So 1st and 10, Chich takes the snap, hands off to Bailey, and he is tackled in the backfield. Tackle made by number 21, Imani Roman. And that'll be about a 3-yard loss for Bailey. Second and 13 from the Carteret 23. Again, just underway here in the second quarter. 3 receivers left for Petrillo with Bailey to his left. Bailey out of the gun, takes the snap. Quick throw to the left. Caught by Geaston. Spins his way to the 20. And Tyree Geaston tackled there. Jaleel Nix on the tackle for the Ramblers. Tyree Geaston has been another big contributor to the Raiders' offense this year. Ball is spotted, looks like at the 20. So gain of 3. 3rd and 10 from the 20. Petrillo out of the shotgun with Bailey behind him. Takes the snap, pitches to Bailey, comes near side, and tries to follow a block, and gets to about maybe the 16 before a host of Ramblers get there. Number 50, Faizan Khan, made the tackle, and it looks like he's shaken up on the play. So Khan shaken up. It'll be 4th down when play resumes. Ball is spotted at the 18-yard line, so a gain of 2 for Bailey. It'll be 4th and 8 from the 18, and so far this is the only drive where the Raiders have not scored. The Raiders have scored on every possession they have had. And this is their 5th possession. The Raiders have scored on the previous 4. It all started with a Miles Bailey touchdown run from 5 yards out with 10:26 to go in the first quarter. Aaron R's extra point was no good, so 6-0 Raiders. And then with 10:06 to go in the first, 20 seconds later, Chris Arnold would punch one in from 12 yards out. That made it 13-0 right there. And then with 9:10 to go, just over a minute later in the quarter, Brandon Outlaw would return one about 20 yards on an interception return for a touchdown. So that made it 20-0. Then with 4:38 to go in the quarter, Christian Petrillo found Aaron R., and R would sneak one into the near right or the front right corner of the end zone from 10 yards out. That made it 27-0. And then with 2:13 remaining in the first quarter, Miles Bailey would punch it in from 10 yards out to make it 34-0. And that's where we are as Faizan Khan walks off on his own accord. 10:39 to go in the second quarter. 34-0 Raiders. It's 4th and 8 for North Brunswick from the 18-yard line. The Raiders are going to go for it. Christian Petrillo takes the snap out of the gun. Looking left, throws it left, completes it to Brandon Outlaw at the 15, 10, cuts it back 5, flag down, stumbles, dives into the end zone. Is it a touchdown? No signal from the refs. So let's check the flag. Refs have not signaled. No, holding against North Brunswick, so it'll come back. And that's why they didn't signal touchdown. So penalty against the Raiders nullifies the Outlaw touchdown. And maybe this will change Mike Sipot's mind here on whether to go for it or not. Holding against North Brunswick. It'll come all the way back to the 20-yard line, where it will be 4th and 10 from the 20. Raiders have to get to the 10-yard line for a first down. Trips right for Petrillo. Bailey to the left of Chich. Out of the shotgun here. Petrillo will work. Takes the snap. Drops back. Looking. Throws it right side, and it is caught inside the 10. Wrestled down inside the 10 is Sean Brahini. An eye break on the tackle, but it's good enough for a Raider first down. So Brahini makes the catch. It'll be 1st and goal. Ball looks like it's spotted at the 8-yard line. So gain of 12 on the pass play to Brahini. It'll be 1st and goal from the 8. So 10 minutes to go in the half. first and goal from the 8. And we get a whistle before the snap. And offside against Carteret is the call. So it'll move half the distance to the goal line, which means it'll be at the 5. First and goal from the 5-yard line. So DeMonte Blunt is in the backfield behind Petrillo. Chedge calling signals, takes the snap, hands off to Blunt, and he is tackled immediately. Zaire Gilbert on the tackle. And so that'll bring up second and goal. So second and goal for the Raiders. Ball is spotted at about the 7-yard line. Petrillo out of the shotgun, takes the snap, rolling left, now turns, throws it right, and completes it at the 5-yard line is Brahini, and he is in. Touchdown, North Brunswick Raiders. Sean Brahini on the touchdown reception. So Brahini on a catch and run from 7 yards out. I apologize for those of you guys losing our signal. We're back on the air, but Sean Brahini on a 7-yard touchdown reception, and the Raiders lead it 40-0 with 9:06 left in the first half. Aaron R for the extra point, and flag down before the kick. See, as we get, what, unsportsmanlike? Is that the call? Referee with the pink flag there. It's against the Raiders, whatever it is. So they're going to back it up 5 yards. It's not an unsportsmanlike, so I haven't figured out yet what the refs are doing here. We're in the second quarter. So this will be from 25 yards, the extra point, and it's blocked. So Aaron R's extra point is blocked. But with 9 minutes and 6 seconds left in the second quarter, on a 7-yard touchdown reception to Sean Brahini, it's the North Brunswick Raiders 40, the Carteret Ramblers nothing. Shades of 2 years ago, only it was Carteret with the 40. So we will break here, and we will come back to the pit in Carteret in just a moment. This is North Brunswick Raiders football, and it's on the King James Radio Network. We come back now for the kickoff, catching it at the 5-yard line, and going straight up the middle to about the 20, and now driven back is Justin Lee for Carteret. So with 8 minutes and 58 seconds left to go in the second quarter, the North Brunswick Raiders 40, the Carteret Ramblers nothing. And so it's been a rough couple of weeks here for the Ramblers, but they will have it first and 10. Ball will be at the 24-yard line. So Cam McCargo at quarterback here with James Henderson to his left. McCargo takes the snap and fakes the handoff, breaks one tackle, bumps into his own man, and is tackled at about the 27. He ended up bumping into Masai Bennigan, and that slowed him down. So the ball will be spotted at the 28, gain of 4 for McCargo. And it'll be second down and 6 from the 28. 8:24 left in the second. 2 receivers to the right for the Ramblers. And McCargo with Henderson to his left. Out of the shotgun, takes the snap, dropping back, looks, throws it, deep ball, left side, looking for Nix, incomplete. Here towards the near sideline, just overthrew him. Brandon Outlaw on the coverage for the Raiders. So Outlaw with 3 interceptions in the last 3 games, including tonight, and again earlier in the first quarter, returned 120 yards for a pick 6. The first pick 6 by a Raiders defensive back since Jalen Hobdy in 2012, by a Raiders defensive player since Jalen Hobdy on October 5th, 2012. 3rd and 6 from the 28, whistle blows. What do we got? And they're got an equipment issue. G.D. Marcellus, DeMonte Blunt will try to fix the shoulder pads, and now they're going to send G.D. off the field here. I don't know, the referees are being a stickler with these equipment issues, but better to be safe than sorry, I guess. So it will be 3rd and 6 from the 28. And so out of the shotgun is McCargo, and he runs, ball loose, fumble, and picked up by Asaru Napier, goes to the right side of the end zone. Did he get in? Touchdown, North Brunswick Raiders. Asaru Napier from 13 yards out. And the Raiders lead it 46-0. Looked like McCargo was trying to go left. Ball was poked loose. Napier picks it up and goes 13 yards for the Raider touchdown. And the Raiders lead it 46-0 with 7:50 left in the second quarter. So there will definitely be a running clock to start the second half, unless Carteret can score 12 points before then. So Aaron R. will come on here to kick his 6th extra point of the game. Extra point attempt, that is. Michael Baratti to hold a high kick from R, and it is good. And so, ladies and gentlemen, listen, if you were around from 2012 to 2016 for Raiders football, you'll understand my shock and my disbelief. But with 7 minutes and 59 seconds to go in the second quarter, the North Brunswick Raiders 47, the Carteret Ramblers nothing. 4-7. 2 years ago, here in Carteret, the Ramblers beat the Raiders 40-0. And again, from 2012 to 2016, the Raiders were taking those beatings on a regular basis. But obviously, those days are long gone. And so Aaron R. will kick. It'll be interesting to see if the first unit even comes out for the second half. But Aaron R. will kick from left to right. And long kick caught at about the 12-yard line. And to the 15, 20, 25. Napier on the tackle after Justin Lee on the return. Flag down. Pink flag down back at the 42. That's a breast cancer awareness flag, but it's pink, and it's down at the 42. So this game, of course, this first half has been all Raiders. Now, the record, we'll get the flag first, and then we'll talk about the record. But so we'll see what we have here. So we've got a touchdown on an interception and a fumble recovery in this game already. Don't ask me the last time that's happened. But looks like Carteret will have the ball at the 29. I didn't see any penalty signal, so maybe they picked up the flag. Okay, now they're going to move it back. Hold on Carteret. All right, so holding on the Ramblers. So now they'll move it back. Why did they wait for both teams to line up near the ball to make their signal and move the ball back? They should have did that from the jump. But ball is back at the 15-yard line. So 1st and 10 Carteret from their own 15. And so Henderson in the backfield. Crutchfield is back behind center. Out of the shotgun, hands off to Henderson, and he is tackled from behind by G.D. Marcellus. So Marcellus on the play. Looks like no gain. So it'll be 2nd and 10 for Carteret. Actually, a loss of 1, it looks like. 2nd and 11 from the 14-yard line with 7:25 to go in the half. And again, this has been all Raiders, 47-0 North Brunswick. Well, if this doesn't raise the Raiders' Born Power Index, nothing will. Crutchfield squats once, kicks up his right leg, squats twice, out of the shotgun, takes the snap, fakes the handoff, gives to Henderson. He's wrapped up in the backfield. G.D. Marcellus again. Marcellus is in the Ramblers' back pocket here. Loss of 4. 3rd and 15 now from the 10. Now, the record for most points in a game, as we look ahead here, I'm pretty sure, let me just find out. I'll find out here in a second. The most points scored in a game by the Raiders would be 61, which came against South Plainfield 7 years ago, with Sean Boyd had 5 touchdowns that day. 3rd and 15 from the 10. Crutchfield out of the gun, takes the snap, rolling right, and he'll try to run, but he runs smack into a lineman for the Raiders. Who did he run smack into? He ran smack into Samad Wingo. It's like Wingo was just standing there waiting for him. And so it'll bring up 4th down. Ball is back at the 9-yard line, so a loss of 1, which is actually a good thing for Carteret. 4th and 16 from the 9. They will punt. So back to punt for the Ramblers, Cam McCargo. Again, the transfer from St. John Vianney. He will punt. Snap. McCargo gets it away. A high kick caught at the Rambler 35 by Tyree Geaston. 30 and almost broke out of the tackle at the 25. But he is down there. So with 5:29 left to go in the half, the Raiders knocking on the doorstep of history. That might depend on the JV team in the second half, but 47-0 they lead it with 5:29 left in the half and a short field to work with here. Ball will be spotted at the 22-yard line. So 1st and 10 from the 22. I don't think anybody's used a timeout yet. Not that you need to necessarily, but I don't think anybody's used one. So 1st and 10 from the 22. And you wonder, and it looks like Michael Barati is in at quarterback for the Raiders, so Chich is out. And now we get a whistle. Looks like we get a timeout. Timeout, North Brunswick. So Barati in at quarterback. We'll break, and we'll come back with North Brunswick Raiders football on the King James Radio Network. All right, we come back off the timeout. Michael Barati takes the snap, hands. No, he fakes it, rolls right, running right, and breaks the tackle at the 10, inside down to the 5. Barati kept it. An eye break on the tackle for Carteret. Injured player on the field, and it's a Rambler who is flat on his back with his arms stretched out. And so they'll check on him. But Barati, who had a 42-yard touchdown run last week, is at it again. He'll probably be the quarterback the rest of the way here for North Brunswick. They'll give Chich the rest of the night off to get his shoulder healed up. Raiders have 3 weeks before the state playoffs. So you want to have your key personnel in the best shape possible. But meanwhile, injured player haven't been able to identify who the player is yet for the Ramblers, as the trainer is now checking in on him. But, this one has been all Raiders. 47-0 North Brunswick with 5:21 remaining in the half. The athletic trainer is Vincent Frusella for Carteret. So he's out there to check on things. But in the meantime, 2 defensive touchdowns for the Raiders. A pick 6 from Brandon Outlaw from 20 yards out. A Saru Napier from 13 yards out. A fumble recovery for a touchdown. So those are the 2 defensive touchdowns. But on the offensive side, Miles Bailey has 2 touchdowns. Chris Arnold has 1. Aaron R. has a receiving touchdown. And so let's see. Sean Brahini also has a receiving touchdown. That's the one I was missing. So, it's like that Oprah meme that everybody puts out on social media. It's like, you get a touchdown, and you get a touchdown, and you get a touchdown. So, the injured player for Carteret, who now comes off the field for the Ramblers. Let's see here. Injured player for Carteret is number 6. Moavia Ashan is the injured player. He comes off. So the Raiders will have it first down and 10 from, first and 10 from the 5-yard line. Barati out of the shotgun with Arnold behind him. Takes the snap, hands off to Arnold, and he is stopped. So Arnold stopped in the backfield. So looks like no gain there. Tackle made by number 21. That is Imani Roman. So it'll be 2nd and goal for the Raiders here. By the way, gain of 15 by Barati on that run before this play. Back at the 8, so a loss of 3 for Arnold. 2nd and goal from the 8. With 4:33 remaining in the half, Raiders lead at 47-0. Barati out of the shotgun, Arnold to his right. Takes a low snap, rolling right, looking, and he'll throw it right, incomplete. Intended for Brandon Outlaw. A short bullet pass for Outlaw. And an eye break on the coverage for Carteret, so it'll be 3rd down. Barati looking for his first varsity touchdown pass. So it'll be 3rd down and goal from the 8 with 4:20 remaining in the second. Looks like we have a stable signal here finally, so happy about that. 3rd and goal from the 8. Barati out of the shotgun for the Raiders. Chris Arnold to his left, takes the snap and hands off to Arnold. Has a hole going left, cuts it back to the middle. 5, inside the 5, down to about the 3. Before he is brought down. On the stop for the Ramblers. Now, of course, I don't have a number 11 here. But Devontae Tharrington. Luckily, I have it on my chart. Makes the tackle. So Arnold down to the 3. It'll be 4th and goal from the 3. Raiders will go for it. Barati out of the gun. Arnold to his right. High snap and hands off to Arnold. He's stopped at the 5. And the Raiders will turn it over on downs. Tackle made by number 21 for Carteret, Imani Roman. And so Arnold stopped on downs back at the, looks like back at the 5, maybe the 6, back at the 5-yard line. So it will be 1st and 10 for Carteret with 3:33 remaining in the first half. And the Raiders with a 47-0 lead. So for the first time tonight, the Raiders do not score on an offensive possession. Meanwhile, Crutchfield, out of the shotgun here from the 5, takes the snap and hands off. This is Henderson. Gets to the line of scrimmage, maybe a yard. And that's about it. G.D. Marcellus on the stop. And so, with 3:15 remaining in the half, ball is at the 7-yard line. Gain of 2. 2nd and 8 for the Ramblers. So, with your starting quarterback out of the game, I guess the Raiders can look forward now to coming back home. Usually I don't talk about this until later on in the game, but not much else to talk about when it's 47-0. But 2nd down and 8 from the 7. Crutchfield out of the gun. Split backfield, takes the snap, hands off to Henderson, and he is met. Leon Lowry and Samad Wingo converging on Henderson for a club sandwich. And ball is back at the 4-yard line, a 3-yard loss. So 3rd and 11 from the 4. But the Raiders will look ahead to next week, coming back home to face Perth Amboy. And so, right now, along the Carteret sideline, Crutchfield having a long talk with Matt Yasko. Is the play clock running? Because they're going to incur a delay of game if that's the case. Timeout Carteret. I was wondering what was going on because Crutchfield was standing there just listening to Matt Yasko, and I was going to say they were about to incur a delay of game, but Carteret calls time with 1:54 to go here in the second quarter. Again, all Raiders here. 47-0 is your score. We will, let's see, do I want to break here? Here's what we'll do. We'll do station ID. We'll do that, and then we'll come back here to the pit.
This is the King James Radio Network, your radio home for North Brunswick Raiders sports, Restoration Place, Timothy Christian Tigers basketball, the Cal Ripken Baseball District Championships, the Ladies of Our Turf Football, and the Jersey Basketball Association.
All right, we come back here to the pit in Carteret, New Jersey. Corbett Thompson here at jamesisking.com. And for those of you just tuning in, first of all, we're glad you're with us. We got our signal straightened out. Second of all, with 1 minute and 54 seconds left to go in the second quarter, North Brunswick 47, Carteret nothing. I mean, that's the best way I can put it. You can't sugarcoat it. 3rd and 11, Carteret from their own 4-yard line. As Zaire Crutchfield will work out of the shotgun here. Squats once, squats twice, now 3 times. Takes the snap, rolling to his left, and he's going to be sacked in the end zone for a safety. That's Chris Arnold. Chris Arnold sacking Crutchfield in the end zone for a safety. And the Raiders now lead it 49-0. Everything going right for North Brunswick. The last time the Raiders had a safety? I don't know. I know they lost to South Brunswick on Thanksgiving one year, 7-7. I'm trying to think, 7-2, I believe they lost. But I don't remember the last time the Raiders had a safety. It's certainly not recently. But Crutchfield sacked in the end zone by Chris Arnold. And thus, 49-0. Carteret will have to kick it. A free kick from the 20. But the Raiders have scored pretty much every which way possible except a field goal. They've scored on a safety, they've scored on an interception return, they've scored on a fumble return, and they've scored on offense, rushing and receiving and passing. The only way they haven't scored yet tonight is on a field goal. We'll see if that happens before the night is through. But we will get they're going to put it on the tee here from the 20. Galindo will kick. I thought they had to punt it. Don't you have to punt it from the 20? Well, I guess the refs, 49-0. I guess the refs will let them kick it. Why not? Minute 51 to go in the half. Yes, there's still another half of football. Galindo with a squib kick and caught at the 48 by Geeston and sidesteps a man 45-40, and he is brought down at about the 38. Geeston doing a little two-step right there. But the Raiders will have it 1st and 10 from the Carteret 40. Let's see where they spot this. They're going to spot this at the 43, it looks like. So 1st and 10 from the 43. So, again, this has been all Raiders. So Hector Rodriguez, if you're listening, 49-0 Raiders with 1:42 left in the half. Michael Berardi is in at quarterback for North Brunswick. Took over for Christian Petrillo. DeMonte Blunt behind him in the backfield. Out of the gun. Berardi takes the snap. Hands off to Blunt. And trying to get around to the right. 40, 35. Bangs a man. 30. And he is tackled there. Flag down at the end. Because it looked like Blunt was thrown down. Ball was at the 31, and they might call a flag. No, holding against the Raiders. Okay, it'll come back. So much for that. So holding on North Brunswick here. 1:25 left in the half. They're going to mark it from the 35 backwards. So 10-yard penalty to the 45. So a net loss of 2. It'll be 1st and 12 from the 45. Now why the scoreboard says 2nd down, I don't know. But okay, the down marker's right. Oh, check that. I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. I was looking at the timeouts. That's my fault. 1st and 12, though, from the 45. Berardi out of the gun. Takes the snap. Drops back. Throws it right side. Looking for R, and incomplete. On the coverage, an eye break for Carteret. And it'll be 2nd down. So 2nd and 12 for North Brunswick from the 45. So now if you're the Raiders at this point, you're just trying to get out of this game without any injuries. That's why Christian Petrillo is no longer in this game. So you're just trying to get out healthy. Jaden Myers is in the game. 3 receivers left. Blunt now to the right of Berardi here. And Mike out of the shotgun takes the snap, hands off to Blunt, and he is tackled at about the 43. Tackle made by Devontae Tharrington. We get a flag. I think there was a personal foul. What do we got? There was some pushing and shoving at the end of the play, and it looks like they're going to call it on the Raiders. And Carteret, both teams. Personal foul on both teams. Penalties offset. There was some pushing and shoving at the end. There were 2 flags thrown. So that means it'll be 3rd down. The down marker says 3rd down. Ball is at the 44-yard line, so it'll be 3rd and 11. Or check that, I'm sorry, 3rd and 15 from the 44. They have to get to the 29. 2 receivers to each side. 32 seconds left in the half. Berardi out of the shotgun. Blunt to his left. He'll snap. Quick throw to the right, and Myers, 45, cuts it back in at the numbers at the 40, and he is thrown down there. Faizan Khan looks like he's shaken up again. Check that. That's Zaire Gilbert. Zaire Gilbert is the injured Rambler. Jaden Myers getting his first catch. He is a freshman. But injured player for Carteret, Zaire Gilbert, with 16 seconds left in the half. Ball is at the 40-yard line. So it would be a gain of 4. It would be 4th and 11 for the Raiders. They do have 2 timeouts. But we talked about the Born Power Index before, and it affects... Did we get a penalty? We did. Penalty against North Brunswick. Now things are getting a little sloppy here. Now, don't get me wrong, the refs haven't exactly had complete control of this game from the get-go, but personal foul against the Raiders. So it's now back at the Raider 45. And so the Raiders it's still 4th down, so the Raiders will punt, so the personal foul must have happened after the play. Aaron R. will punt, standing at his own 34. I think the Raiders are going to let it run out. Yep, that's it. They're not even going to punt it to Carteret. They let it run out, and that's the end of the first half. I tell you, everything the Raiders touched tonight has turned to gold, but except the penalties. We talked about that with Mike Sipot before the game, and I'm sure he's not going to be very happy with the penalties. But that being said, 49-0 Raiders here at the end of the half. And it has been all North Brunswick. And so with that, what we'll do is we will go to the ladies of Our Turf Football. You might have heard one of our spots here in the first half. Our Turf Football, of course, a program that is carried on the King James Radio Network every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time with Dana O'Gorman and Lisa Johnson. And, this week, Dana and Lisa had a chance to catch up with Russell Baxter of, let's see, I want to say, I don't remember his website off the top of my head, but I know you can catch him on Twitter at Bax Football Guru. And this guy, he's like a sponge when it comes to numbers and stats and figures and different things, and very well established in the NFL community. And had a chance to, the ladies of Our Turf Football, that is, had a chance to catch up with Russell Baxter. And so you'll hear mostly Dana O'Gorman's voice, but Lisa Johnson also there as well. And so here is that conversation with the ladies of Our Turf Football and Pro Football Guru, Russell Baxter.
Russ, thank you so much for taking time and coming and chatting with us.
Dana and Lisa, it's been far too long, and I hope you guys are doing very, very well. And it's always fun to play catch-up with you guys.
Absolutely. I know we have missed you too, but I want to pick your brain because your brain is one of the most fascinating things to me when it comes to sports because you know everything, and I'm not even exaggerating a little bit. So I want to talk to you about Drew Brees. First of all, as everyone who listens to this podcast knows, I'm not a huge fan of quarterbacks, but Drew Brees is one of the guys that you can't help but absolutely love in this game. And he had his very big night, not only because the Saints absolutely destroyed Washington last night, but he now has the all-time passing record in the league, passing Peyton Manning, which was that fantastic hysterical video that Peyton Manning put out. It was very good. I think that he's such a good sport. But this was just so impressive, especially coming from a quarterback of a team that has been a little bit up and down over his tenure there. Talk to me a little bit about what Drew Brees has done and what it means to actually get this record.
Well, I think the thing that sometimes gets lost with Drew Brees is his durability. Mm-hmm. He came to, and it's ironic that that's the instance because you will remember that the Chargers who drafted him in the second round back in 2001, which I always like to point this out. 1 year later, Drew Brees would have been a first-round draft choice because in 2001, we still only had 31 teams in the league.
Oh, sure.
Then we came to 32. So it's kind of an oddity, fun thing. By the way, with their first-round pick that year, the Chargers took LaDainian Tomlinson, so it wasn't exactly.
It worked out okay.
Yeah, I think it worked out all right. Anyway, they decided to go in a different direction with Phillip Rivers. Obviously they didn't draft Phillip Rivers; they had to swap with the Giants and Eli Manning, yada yada yada. And ironically enough, Drew Brees took over the Saints' starting quarterback job in 2006. I believe he's missed 2 games. One, because they sat him at the end of the 2009 season, the year they won the Super Bowl, and only one because of injury.
That's
crazy.
And,
you look at the dynamic, the number of times he's thrown for 5,000 yards. Now, his teams haven't always been successful. They certainly struggled on defense and so on, but not for a lack of trying on his part. Mm-hmm. And we saw kind of a change in the Saints last year because of the running game, the two-headed combination of Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. And yet still Drew Brees put up dynamic numbers, that balanced offense. And Right now they're riding a 4-game winning streak, and they've got Ingram back. They kind of stemmed the tide. They lost that opening game to the Bucks at home. They look as good as any team in the league. Mm-hmm. And the thing about Drew Brees is it just doesn't seem to be any wear and tear on him. Obviously we talk a lot about Tom Brady and his accomplishments and where he also stands on these all-time passing record charts and so on. I mean, he's one of only 3 players to throw 500 touchdown passes. By the way, Drew Brees is at 499. I like his chances to get in the 500. But as durable as Brady has been, and of course he missed pretty much the whole 2008 season except for one game when he tore his knee and he had the suspension a couple of years ago. Drew Brees just kind of keeps chugging along. Mm-hmm. And I think in some ways it's almost like he snuck up on this record. And because of Sean Payton's offense and because of the way they throw the ball and because they, now have provided him with as good of receivers he's ever had. I mean, Marcus Colston was dynamic for them, the Saints' all-time leading pass catcher. Jimmy Graham was great for him. But Drew Brees has always been a guy who spreads the ball all over the field. One of the big plays last night was the Mark Ingram screen pass that set up the first touchdown. So the fact that he can throw the ball and just doesn't seem like he's showing any signs of wearing down. And again, I only bring up Brady because Brady seems to be the guy that a lot of people associate with climbing up the charts. And yet Brees is, in essence, I think, younger than he is.
Yeah, he is by a couple years.
And just like Brady, they don't show any signs of slowing down. I know Tom and the Patriots had a couple of rough weeks against Jacksonville and Detroit. They've scored 38 points in back-to-back weeks.
Right.
Be getting a little better, and so that's why it's always hard to judge these teams 3 or 4 weeks into the season. But you look at the way the league plays offense now, and it's spread the field. Not that the running game isn't still important, but in some ways it's de-emphasized. It's almost like a bonus if you have a good running back. It's a real bonus if you have 2 good running backs. It's an incredible bonus if you have a running back who can catch the football. So, who knows where his numbers are going to wind up, and honestly, who knows where some of these other guys' numbers are going to wind up as well. I mean, keep this in mind.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say two points to that is, number one, I agree, and I think Lisa would agree too, that you're absolutely right that Drew Brees snuck up on this. This was not something we were talking about last year. This is not something that you really, for us non-Tom Brady lovers, it gets real annoying that all you hear about is Tom Brady when you have these other great quarterbacks. And Drew Brees is kind of that quiet, stealthy guy. And Brett Favre said today, because he was on Sirius XM NFL Radio, and I thought this was probably the best compliment you could ever get, especially from Brett Favre, where he said, when Drew Brees is on the field, you have a better than not chance of winning. He just does it so quietly. And I think that that's true. When he comes on the field, even if their defense is destroyed, even if they, don't have, any way to stop people from scoring 40 points against them, they still have a, better than not chance to win, and that is because of Drew Brees. But I do think this too. I think that, and we talked about this briefly before we started recording, that, with the rules the way they are right now, and the insane numbers that are being put up, these records aren't going to stand long. Although, easily he could, he's got 3 years more. You're right. He doesn't look like he's, aged a day from 10, 15 years ago. And, they could be broken. But are they as important as you see kids like Mahomes and some of these other rookies? They're throwing 5,000 yards in their first season, So these numbers are just going to get blown up. I really am interested in your thoughts on how quickly you think that the league is going to catch up to this. And do these records matter as much when you have such a pass-friendly league?
Well, I think you have to put them in perspective, okay? Just like years ago, you'd have to put the running numbers in perspective.
Yeah.
You have to understand the era in which you play. I hear a number of people who come out and slam the older quarterbacks because they look and they see, look at all the interceptions that Terry Bradshaw threw. Look at all the interceptions that Kenny Stabler threw, Roger Staubach. And that's just not understanding that until 1978, you could bounce players around downfield.
Yeah.
Okay. It was a different ball game. It was more physical. It emphasized the run. One of the things I'm bringing up Bradshaw because to me he epitomizes how good the Steelers were during that decade because of what they were able to do. In 1974 and 75, they won back-to-back Super Bowls with, quote-unquote, the older rules. It was Franco Harris, it was Rocky Bleier. It was one of the greatest defenses of all time. The league changed the rules to open up the passing game in 1978, okay? What that meant was no hitting a receiver downfield after 5 yards. As strange as this may sound, offensive linemen were allowed to extend their arms to pass block. That wasn't necessarily the case in the 50s and 60s and 70s for the most part. They saw the league go through a drought of points. Some of that had to do with the fact that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers entered the league and were not very good for 2 years. There were unbelievable amount of shutouts in 1976 and 77. Why do I bring that up? They changed the rules. And guess who won the first 2 Super Bowls after they changed the rules? Terry Bradshaw and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Right.
With more Lynn Swann and more John Stallworth and maybe a little less Franco and admittedly a little less defense. But now you fast forward to what you see now, which is totally different. Spreading the ball out. More, in some ways, I don't want to say run and shoot. I don't want to get that dramatic. But lining up a variety of receivers, spreading the ball around, tight ends playing bigger roles. It's just a different kind of style of football. So I don't know where these records are headed, but I will point out this. There are 9 players, Dana and Lisa, that have thrown for 50,000 career yards in NFL history, and 5 of them are still active.
Wow. That's a great stat, isn't it? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, including, and by the way, including 3 young men who were all drafted the same year. Okay? Drew Brees is 1, Tom Brady is 4. Eli Manning is 6, Ben Roethlisberger is 7, Philip Rivers is 8.
Crazy. Wow, that is crazy.
By the way, that's not even taking into effect people like Matt Ryan, who's at 43 and change, Aaron Rodgers, who I think just got to 40. Think about those guys. I mean, we're seeing unprecedented numbers in terms of the aerial attack. You know what's really funny is no one ever talks about Emmitt Smith's career rushing record anymore because I don't think anybody's going to be close to it
ever
in
touch
at least 10 or 15 years.
Yep, I think you're absolutely right. Because running backs, you're absolutely right. They don't play as long, and they don't, the rules are kind of stacked against them at this point. It's crazy. Well, Russ, I appreciate you. I know this sounds really weird. I appreciate your brain so much because I love that you know all this stuff, and it just comes off the top of your head, and we love having you on the show. I want to tell everyone that you need to follow Russell Baxter on Twitter. It's at Bax Football Guru. He is just a wealth of knowledge, and it's so fun having you on the show and having you as a friend. We appreciate you so much, Russ. Thanks so much.
Well, I can't say enough about how kind you've been to me here, and just rest assured, your payment to be a PayPal.
Absolutely not. All right, Russ, we'll talk to you soon.
You got it.
Bye-bye.
It's time for this date in Raiders football history as we take a look back at some of the past highlights of North Brunswick Raiders football. And on this date, October the 12th, 1984, North Brunswick defeats Carteret 26-7. The Raiders racked up 328 yards on the ground, with 104 of them coming from Tony Palumbo, which he did on 7 carries. Rudy Smith punched in a couple of scores as well. The Raiders defense held Carteret to 9 rushing yards in the second half. In 2001, it was North Brunswick over New Brunswick 42-32 to move to 5-1 on the season. Chris Arnold Sr., 29 carries, 188 yards, and 4 touchdowns. The Raiders forced 6 zebra turnovers, including 2 interceptions by Crimson Marrero. That is a look at this date in Raiders football history. We'll be back with more of North Brunswick Raiders football on the King James Radio Network. Route 1 Dental, located at 2229 Route 1 South in North Brunswick, New Jersey, offers a variety of treatments for whatever fits you best. Stop by and ask about Glow Whitening, which is designed to whiten your teeth by up to 8 shades from its original state. Route 1 Dental also offers Invisalign, the alternative to getting braces to help that smile stay straight. Botox cosmetic treatments are also available. Call 732-940-0222 to schedule a consultation or an appointment. Or you can visit rt1dental.com. That's rt1dental.com. And talk to Dr. Trackman and Route 1 Dental in North Brunswick, New Jersey.
Dana and Lisa here from Our Turf Football to tell you that the Our Turf podcast is up and running.
Did you know that women make up over 45% of all NFL fans and counting? Here at Our Turf, we have our own take on what's happening around the National Football League with special features, previews, reports from our official fan reporters covering each team, and interviews with players and personalities who have the scoop on what's happening. Women are in the know when it comes to football, and it's time the rest of the world knew it too.
Our Turf Football is every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on the King James Radio Network at jamesisking.com.
This is Christian Petrillo, and you're listening to North Brunswick Raiders football on the King James Radio Network.
All right, we come back here to the pit in Carteret as we are at halftime. And, well, there will be a running clock to start the second half for those of you just tuning in. You probably missed a good chunk of the action. You can catch it on demand. And once I fix up everything, we had some technical issues earlier in the broadcast, so I'll have to fix that up, later on tonight. But here at halftime, it is North Brunswick 49, Carteret nothing at the half. The Raiders scored 40 points in the first quarter. 40 points in the first quarter. That's got to be a Raiders record. It would take me way too long to look it up, but actually it might not take me that long because the Raiders it's not that often they've scored 40 points in a game, much less in a quarter. But that being said, I'm pretty sure with a good degree of certainty that that's got to be a Raiders record, 40 points in the first quarter. You go back from the early days of Jeff Lynch in the mid-'70s to the current day, Jeff Lynch, a quarterback in the early 70s, to the current day with Christian Petrillo. There can't be a time where the Raiders ever scored 40 points in a quarter. The first quarter or any other quarter for that matter. But with that being said, we'll recap it real quick and then we'll take a break and get you some stats. Looks like they're going to do the homecoming ceremonies here at Carteret, so homecoming night, which is probably the only thing that's gone right for Carteret so far. But as far as the Raiders, first possession, the Raiders won the coin toss. They elected to receive, and the game was pretty much done from there. Raiders got the ball at midfield on the 50-yard line. Miles Bailey for 7 yards. And then, let's see, let's put it this way. 4 plays later, they got down to the 5-yard line. Bailey would run it in from 5 yards out for his first touchdown of the night. Extra point, no good. 6-0 Raiders. Next possession, that was with 10:26 to go in the first. Next possession, 2 plays. Raiders started on the Carteret 21. Christian Petrillo for 9 yards to make it 2nd and 1. And then Chris Arnold from 12 yards out with the touchdown run. Arnold's 3rd rushing touchdown of the year. That was 20 seconds after the first touchdown. So 10:06 left in the first quarter. And the Raiders had a 13-0 lead with the extra point. Now, with 9 minutes and, with 9 minutes and 10 seconds left to go in the first, Carteret would drop back to pass behind quarterback Zaire Crutchfield. He would throw one, but it would land in the hands of Brendan Outlaw. He would run it back 20 yards for a pick 6. The first pick 6 by a North Brunswick Raider since Jalen Hobdy 6 years and 1 week ago today, October 5th, 2012. That's the last pick 6 the Raiders had until Brandon Outlaw ran one in from 20 yards out. And that made the score 20-0 North Brunswick. So we move along. 4:38 left to go. Still first quarter. 2nd and 6 from the Carteret 10. Christian Petrillo found Aaron R. He would sneak it into the front right corner of the end zone for a touchdown with Aaron. And that's his 3rd touchdown reception of the year. 27-0 Raiders at that point with 4:38 left in the first. With 2:13 left in the first, Chris Arnold would punch it in from 10 yards out and that would give the Raiders a 34-0 lead. I mistakenly said 40 points in the first quarter for the Raiders is 34 points in the first quarter. Just want to make sure I have I'm pretty sure 34-0. But that being said, second quarter, and the Raiders will continue this time on defense. Zaire Crutchfield and Carteret has switched quarterbacks back and forth here. Zaire Crutchfield had the ball knocked loose as he was rolling out, and Asaru Napier picked it up, ran it in 13 yards for a touchdown. That was with 7:50 left in the second quarter, and so that made the score. Let's see. That made the score 40-0 at that point. And from there, I got to keep the scoring straight in my head. But from there, second quarter, let's see. I'm trying to think. Sean Brahini caught a touchdown pass from Christian Petrillo. A 7-yard reception. That made it 47-0. And then the Raiders would get a safety as Chris Arnold would tackle Crutchfield in the end zone. And so that makes it 49-0, and that's where we are. So, yeah. So we'll take a break. The refs are back out on the field. Both teams are not, as the homecoming festivities are still going on. It looks like they've just announced their homecoming king. So we'll break. We'll have some stats, as one-sided as they may be. We'll come back for the second half in a moment. This is Raiders football on the King James Radio Network.
The King James Radio Network is now accepting inquiries this summer to broadcast games on our King James Jr. channel. If you have a youth baseball, basketball, or football game in the state of New Jersey that you want to be heard on the air, please send an email to kingjamesradio1@gmail.com with the date and time that you're looking for, and we'll let you know if we can make it. Inquiries are not guaranteed to be accepted based on a combination of availability and first come, first serve. We look forward to broadcasting your game on King James Jr., a channel of the King James Radio Network at jamesisking.com.
This broadcast is a production of the King James Radio Network, which is solely intended for the private use of its listening audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this audio transmission without the written permission or consent from the King James Radio Network is strictly prohibited.
This week at Restoration Place, The Lazarus Conspiracy by Pastor John Bazemore Jr.
Sometimes you just don't feel good about who you are. And most of the time when we feel this way, it's when we focus on ourselves. And this is when we begin to conspire against other people.
Restoration Place, on demand on the King James Radio Network at jamesisking.com.
Both teams now coming out of the locker room here for the second half. And North Brunswick 49, Carteret nothing. For what it's worth, Carteret will get the ball to start the second half. Halftime stats for the Raiders. Christian Petrillo, when he was in there, 6 of 6 for 74 yards, 1 carry for 9. Chich was taken out mid-second quarter, just as a precaution, I'm sure, with such a big lead early. Michael Berardi, the backup quarterback, 1 of 3 passing for 9 yards. Miles Bailey, 9 carries, 46 yards, 2 touchdowns. I'm thinking if Chich is out, we're probably not going to see much, if any, of Bailey in the second half. Chris Arnold, 6 carries for 35 yards. Sean Brahini, and a touchdown, by the way, for Chris. Chris has a touchdown on offense and recorded a safety on defense. Sean Brahini, 3 receptions for 34 yards with a touchdown. Aaron R., 2 receptions for 37 yards and a touchdown. Tyree Geaston, 1 catch for 3. Jordan Myers, 1 catch for 9. DeMonte Blunt, 1 carry, 1 yard in a backup role. For Carteret, Zaire Crutchfield, 0 for 4 passing so far, with 2 carries for -5 yards, including the sack in the end zone from Chris Arnold. James Henderson, 11 carries for 6 yards. Cam McCargo, the backup quarterback, 1 carry for 4 yards, 0 for 1 passing. And Stephon Kelly-Gordon, 1 carry for 4 yards. Carteret has a total of 5 yards on offense. And so that is the story there. So with that, we will take one more break, and when we come back, we will have the second half. North Brunswick and Carteret from the pit in a moment on the King James Radio Network. Back here to Carteret, New Jersey, here at the pit in Carteret as Raiders football continues on the King James Radio Network. Second half about to start. North Brunswick 49, Carteret nothing. The record, I mentioned in the first half, the record for most points scored in a game by a Raiders team is 61, which came against South Plainfield in 2011. They won that game 61-32. So the Raiders are already crossing into the top 5 in points scored here. Aaron R. will kick things off here. The Raiders have only scored 50 points in the game 3 times in their history. Kickoff is dropped by the up man, and he'll fall on it. Falling on that was Devontae Tharrington. Falling on that for the Ramblers. So it will be 1st and 10 Carteret. Let's see where they have this. But yeah, the Raiders 55-20 over Colonia in 1992 and 50-23 over New Brunswick in 2000. Those are the only 3 times, plus the South Plainfield game, that they have scored 50 points or more in a game. 1st and 10 Carteret from their own 30-yard line. Zaire Crutchfield out of the shotgun here. Squats once, squats twice, squats 3 times. Takes the snap, and he'll hand off to James Henderson, and he is stuffed in the backfield. The Raiders don't even want to throw him down. Lasaru Napier. I mean, this basically turns into a glorified scrimmage at this point. Again, running clock here in the second half. So the clock will not stop unless there is an injury or a score. Loss of 1 for Henderson. It'll be 2nd down and 11. Henderson now has 5 yards on 12 carries. 2 receivers left for the Ramblers. Henderson to the right of Crutchfield. Squats once, squats twice, and squats 3 times out of the shotgun. Takes the snap, dropping back, left-handed throw, near side, and it is incomplete. Intended for Jaleel Nix. DeMonte Blunt back there for the Raiders. And so it'll be 3rd down. So 3rd down. And again, if you're the Raiders, you're basically just trying to hold serve here. 3rd down and 11. Jeremiah Brema on the coverage on that last play. 3rd and 11 from the 29. And so out of the shotgun will be Crutchfield. Takes the snap, rolling left. Looking, left-handed throw, deep ball down the left sideline. Overthrew it, incomplete. Intended for Stephon Kelly Gordon. And Brema on the coverage for the Raiders. It'll be 4th down. And Carteret forced to punt. So, I suppose we could make this a little more interactive. If you guys, listening on our Spreaker page, want to say something in the chat box below, feel free. Just to keep us all entertained. But 4th down. And so back to punt is McCargo, and look like it's a short kick. Bounces at the Carteret 45 and goes on a neutral bounce, and it'll be down there. As Chris Kamara downs it. So 1st and 10 Raiders from the Carteret 45-yard line here for their first possession of the second half. The Raiders have started in Carteret territory the whole night. And with a 49-0 lead, Raiders will bring out 3 receivers to the right. Mike Barati in at quarterback, DeMonte Blunt in the backfield. So it looks like the first unit is pretty much done for the night. Barati takes the snap, hands off to Blunt, and cuts it up the middle, 45, and down to the 40, tackled there. So Blunt on the carry. Tackled by number 54 for Carteret. Looks like the Raiders are going to go in a hurry up here, but tackle by number 54 for Carteret, Quyon Veal. So ball is at the 40. Second down, Barati will go ahead and try to run it himself. Oh, check that, Jaden Myers on the carry. So Myers gets it down to the 40. Well, he got it to the loss of 2 at the 42. So what was 2nd and 5 turns into 3rd and 7 from the 42. Barati out of the gun, trips left. Blunt behind him, takes the snap, and he'll go ahead and fake the handoff to Blunt, running right to the near side. 40, finds a hole, 35, breaks a tackle, and still going. 30, inside the 30, down to about the 28. Mike Barati getting some yardage. Tackle made by number 54 for Carteret. That is Ebrar Sheik on the tackle. So Barati down to the 28. Gain of 14 on 3rd and 7. It'll be a Raider first down. 6:25, again, running clock here in the third quarter. So clock will not stop unless there's a score or an injury. 2 receivers to each side. Barati out of the shotgun. DeMonte Blunt to his left. Takes the snap. Dropping back. 3-step drop. Now here comes the rush. Barati running out of the pocket. 30. And shovel pass. Did he catch it? Nope. Incomplete. All right. So pass incomplete. It was intended for Joe Milius. Or is that Milius? Let me look. Let me just get my glasses on here for a second. Yeah, Joe Milius. That was intended for, number 24. So it'll be second down. 2nd and 10 from the 28. Once again, Barati will work out of the gun. And he'll give it over to Blunt here, and he is stuffed at the line. So no gain there for Blount. And ball is spotted at the 28, it looks like, so no gain. It'll be 3rd and 10 for the Raiders from the Carteret 28-yard line. With 4:53 to go here in the third. And so Barati will work out of the gun, takes the snap, dropping back. Here comes the rush, steps up in the pocket. He's going to be sacked. First one to get there is Faizan Khan, number 50 for Carteret. Ball is at the 28, so no gain. And it'll be 4th and 10 for the Raiders here. So, again, the first unit for North Brunswick out of this game with a 49-0 lead. The spread, the Born Power Index, if you're interested, the spread, quote-unquote, on this game was 21. The Raiders were supposed to win by 21 over Carteret. Trips left on 4th and 10. Barati with Blunt to his right, out of the shotgun, takes the snap, 3-step drop, throws it over the middle, incomplete. Pass was intended for Jaden Myers, it looks like, on a crossing route. Myers kept going. Barati threw it behind him, expecting Myers to be somewhere else. And so the Raiders turn it over on downs. Again, clock runs with 3:23 to go here in the third quarter. Clock does not stop on the change of possession. So 1st and 10 Carteret from the Rambler 28. And handoff, and coming up the middle, that's Henderson breaking some tackles, across the 30 and 40, down to the 45. Jaden Myers over there to try to stop him. James Henderson getting some yardage against the Raider backups. So gain of 18, 1st and 10 from the 46-yard line with 2:40 to go here in the third. So 1st and 10 Carteret, split backfield here. And running play going left and finding a hole right side. And that is Henderson. No, check that. That's Stephon Gordon Kelly. He's gone. Touchdown Carteret. He found a hole on the right side and took advantage. Stephon Kelly Gordon with the Carteret touchdown to put the Ramblers on the board. And it is now 49-6. Gordon runs it in from 54 yards out. So 49-6 is your score. We'll get the extra point here. Snap, spot, and a high kick, and it is good. So just to indulge you guys, on the extra point for Carteret, my papers are all over the place, but we won't break. We'll keep it here. But on the extra point for Carteret, Luis Galindo. And so, with 1:07 to go, the clock's still running. They're not even stopping it on scoring plays. With 1:07 to go in the third, 49-7 Raiders. And so under a minute to go, now they stop it. Now they stop it with 57 seconds left in the third. Okay. They should have stopped it to begin with. Not for nothing. I don't usually get on the refs, during the course of a game, but this has not been the greatest officiated game tonight. So listen, I just call the game. 57 seconds left to go here in the third quarter. 49-7 is your score as Carteret gets on the board. 3 men back deep for the Raiders here. Louis Galindo will kick things off for the Ramblers. And a line drive heading to the near side, caught at the 22 and he went down to his knees, did the returner. So the play is blown dead right there. That is Deshaun Baker, a sophomore. Wide receiver and a defensive back listed at 5'8", 140 for the Raiders. So Baker caught it and fell to his knees at the 27-yard line. So that's where the Raiders will have it, 1st and 10. So 1st and 10, North Brunswick, and this is by far their worst field position of the night. 20 seconds left in the third as the clock now runs. And Barati standing there, he's just going to let the clock run out. 12 seconds left in the third. He's not going to snap it, I don't think. Nope, maybe he will. Okay. So Barati now set. Takes the snap, and he'll pitch it. And coming back to the near side is Blunt. And Blunt crossing the 25 and gets down to about the 29 before he is stopped there by a few Ramblers. And that will end the third quarter. So, we have played 3 here in Carteret. 49-7 Raiders. We'll break. We'll come back on the King James Radio Network.
This broadcast is a production of the King James Radio Network, which is solely intended for the private use of its listening audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this audio transmission without the written permission or consent from the King James Radio Network is strictly prohibited.
All right, we come back for the fourth quarter. Clock has already started to run. So 10 seconds and counting into the fourth quarter. We haven't run a play yet. 49-7 Raiders lead it. Running clock here in the fourth quarter. The Raiders will have the football here. It will be second down at the 30-yard line, 2nd and 7. Barati out of the shotgun. He'll pitch it. And this looks like coming to the right side. 40, 45, trying to break the pack. Looks like Blunt gets across to the 50. So big yardage for DeMonte Blount. And a 20-yard gain. Good enough for a Raiders first down at the 50. No point in going out of bounds because the clock's going to run anyway, so you might as well stay in bounds. 4 receivers, 2 to each side. Blunt to the left of Barati. And so Michael Barati will work out of the shotgun here. And we get movement. Somebody jumped for Carteret. Flags down. Zaire Gilbert jumped for Carteret, offsides. And that'll be 5 yards. So 1st and 5 now from the Carteret 45. The Raiders have 2 backup quarterbacks with touchdown runs of 40 yards or more this year. Berardi is one, Jaden Myers is the other. Again, 2 to each side, empty backfield for Berardi here. Coming in motion is Myers, high snap, pulls it down, gives to Myers. Myers reversing field, going to the far side, 50, 45, jukes his way, and he's going to be tackled at the 45. Gets out of bounds, but that's not going to stop the clock. So Jaden Myers on the run, back to the line of scrimmage. He probably ran like 15 yards just to get back to the line of scrimmage. They're going to spot this at the 43, gain of 2. 2nd and 3 then from the 43. 9.5 minutes to go. So the Raiders will win their 5th straight game and improve to 6-1 on the season. 2 receivers right here for Mike Barati. Blunt behind him in the backfield. Barati taking his time here. He'll let some time run off. In no hurry are the Raiders. Out of the shotgun. Barati at his own 32 takes the snap, pitches to Blunt, 48 rather, pitches to Blunt and goes right along the sideline and crosses the 40 down to the 35, tackled around the 33. Zaire Crutchfield on the tackle for Carteret. So DeMonte Blount with 10 more for Raiders first down. 8:40 to go in the 4th, so it doesn't look like the Raiders will break the school record for points scored in a game. Looks like the 2011 Raiders will still have that distinction. As Barati will work out of the shotgun here. And so Barati again taking as much time as possible. And Barati will go ahead and take the snap. And hands off, running right, crossing the 30 and tackled there for the Raiders. First carry for number 26, Jaquil Boyd. Wonder if he's related to LaShawn Boyd. Speaking of the 2011 Raiders. 2nd and 7 from the 30. LaShawn Boyd scored 5 touchdowns in that game where the Raiders put up 61 against South Plainfield, which again is the highest total in a game in their history. 2nd and 7 from the 30. So Jaquil Boyd in the backfield, trips right here for the Raiders. Mike Barati will work out of the gun standing at his 35. 7:25 to go. And again, running clock here in the second half with the Raiders having a 49-7 lead. So Barati out of the gun. High snap, pulls it down, 3-step drop, throws it, deep ball, right side, and incomplete, overthrew Jaden Myers. Myers had a step on a couple of his defenders, but Barati overthrew him just a touch. So it'll be 3rd down. 3rd and 7 from the 30. Of course, all season long we have, parts of the season. We have commemorated the 2003 North Brunswick Raiders football team. This is the 15th anniversary of their GMC White Division Championship, led by first-year head coach at the time, Mark Zielinski, who coached for 12 seasons with the Raiders. But that was his first. They won a division title. The Raiders came within half a second of winning the division title last week, but Sayreville pulling off a minor miracle against Edison. So third down here. 3rd and 7 from the 30. Barati again taking time. Out of the shotgun. Takes the snap, hands off, and Marquise Perry going right. Crossing the 30 to about the 29. Tackled there. So Marquise Perry getting the carry. Ball is spotted at the 29-yard line. So gain of 1. It'll be 4th down and 6. On the tackle for Carteret was Shannon Bozeman, number 5. So 4th and 6 from the 29. This might be the last time the Raiders touch the ball tonight, so we'll see if they can make something happen. Barati looking back at the clock. And so Barati waiting with Boyd to his left, Jaquil Boyd. And again, 4 wide receivers, 2 to each side. Barati taking as much time off as he can. Out of the shotgun, takes the snap, quick drop, throws it right, completes it along the sideline. Not a first down, though. Catch was made by number 24 for the Raiders. Again, that is Joe Melius. But again, not enough for a first down. But the clock will continue to run on the change of possession. Ball is at the 24. So a 5-yard gain on 4th down and 6. So Carteret will have it with 4.5 minutes and counting left in the 4th quarter, 1st and 10. And so Cam McCargo back in at quarterback for the Ramblers. He takes the snap and he'll hand off, and breaking 1 tackle, breaking 2, but being thrown down on the tackle for the Raiders. Number 56, Daniel Urbina. And on the run for Carteret was, let me just look at their setup, but on the run for Carteret for the Ramblers was number 21, Imani Roman. So 2nd down, ball at the 26, so 2nd and 8. McCargo will take the snap and runs right, gets tackled at the 25. So a loss of 1. 3rd and 9 from the 25-yard line. 3:10 left to go. So again, the Raiders, not only do they win their 5th straight game, they put up 40 points for their 4th straight game. And when we get to the buzzer here, we'll tell you about the milestones, the 2 milestones that the Raiders have reached here with this win tonight. 2 receivers right. McCargo with a split backfield. Henderson to his right. I'm a little surprised Henderson's still in. Out of the gun, taking the snap, dropping back. McCargo throws it over the middle, incomplete. Pass was intended for Carteret for number 20, Wanye Parrott. And on the coverage, Deshaun Baker for the Raiders. So it'll be 4th down. 4th and 9 from the 25. With 2:09 and counting to go in the 4th. And so the Raiders, I don't know if I mentioned this, but for the first time since 2000, the Raiders will be 4-0 on the road this year. First time since 2000. Meanwhile, out of the gun, McCargo hands off to Henderson, trying to stiff arm a man, but no dice. Marquise Perry on the tackle. He stuck with it. And Henderson tackled back at the 22 for a 3-yard loss, and then Carteret will turn it over on downs. I think most likely, with 1.5 minutes to go, I think the Raiders will just take a knee here, and that'll be that. But for the first time since 2000, the Raiders are 4-0 on the road this year. So with 1:11 to go, they're going to run a play. So Boyd to the left of Barati, 1st and 10. And snap, handoff to Boyd, running right, going around the right side, 20, cuts it in, 15, 10. He's out of bounds. Forced out of bounds by Shannon Bozeman with 58 seconds left here in the fourth. And so the Raiders will have to hurry up if they're going to get a playoff here. It's 1st down and goal from the 8-yard line. So the Raiders are going to try to punch it in. I don't know if this is Born Power Index related or not. But 1st and goal from the 8. 2 receivers right. Barati will work out of the gun. Takes the snap. Pitches it to Boyd. And spinning. And he's going to be stopped at about the 7. And that's probably going to be it. So Jaquil Boyd for a yard. And that's going to do it with 7 seconds left. The Raiders won't get another playoff here. As the clock goes to 2, then 1, and that will do it. There's the buzzer. This game is over. And the North Brunswick Raiders have won their 5th straight game. They moved to 6-1 on the season with a complete domination in the first half, 49-7 over the Carteret Ramblers here at the pit in Carteret. And again, for the first time since 2000, the Raiders are 4-0 on the road. The Raiders with a 34-point first quarter and never looked back. Not a lot of gaudy stats here, as the starters really didn't get a whole lot of playing time to put up any gaudy stats, but touchdowns everywhere, basically. Miles Bailey with 2 touchdowns. Aaron R. with a touchdown reception. Sean Brahini with a touchdown reception. Brandon Outlaw with an interception return for a touchdown. The first pick 6 by a Raiders defender since Jalen Hobdy on October 5th, 2012. A fumble recovery and a 13-yard touchdown run from Osaru Napier. And those milestones that I was going to tell you guys about, for the first time since 1979 and 1980, the Raiders have back-to-back seasons of 6 wins or more. You heard me. For the first time since 1979 and 1980, back-to-back seasons of 6 wins or more. And Mike Saipot becomes the first head coach in Raiders history with the win tonight to have a guaranteed winning record in each of his first 2 seasons on the job. The Raiders, even if, and again, bite my tongue, I know, but even if the Raiders lost the rest of their games the rest of the way, the worst they could finish is 6-5, thus giving Mike Saipot a winning season. Again, first time ever a Raiders head coach in each of his first 2 years finishes with a winning record. The Raiders were 6-4 last year and can finish no worse than 6-5 this year. And so again, touchdowns everywhere for North Brunswick tonight. And the Raiders taking some pictures. But I mentioned all the touchdowns. 2 from Miles Bailey, 1 from Chris Arnold, 1 from Sean Brahini on the receiving end, and again Aaron R. on the receiving end as well. Osaru Napier with a touchdown on defense. Brandon Outlaw with a touchdown on defense. And the Raiders just took over and never looked back. A safety by Chris Arnold with a safety as well, sacking Zaire Crutchfield in the end zone. And so North Brunswick now improves to 6-1. And in the meantime, Carteret, they lose their 4th straight and they drop to 2-4 on the season. My thanks to Athletic Director Grace Kuna from Carteret. And so with that, next week, the Raiders will head home to Steve Lebor Field to take on Perth Amboy. And in that one, what's on the line for the coaching staff and the team as a whole. If the Raiders beat Perth Amboy next week, it will be the first time in Raiders history they will have back-to-back seasons with 6-game winning streaks if they beat Perth Amboy next week. So that will be on the line. And there's really nothing left to add to that. Our next broadcast of North Brunswick Raiders football on the King James Radio Network will be next Friday night, October the 19th, at Steve Liebrough Field in North Brunswick, New Jersey, when the North Brunswick Raiders will take on the Perth Amboy Panthers. Game time is at 7 o'clock. Raiders Live pregame, presented by the Cal team and Remax Country, will be at 6:30. So again, my thanks to the folks at Carteret. And so until next Friday night, this is Corbett Thompson saying goodbye, Godspeed. We thank you for listening to this edition of Raiders Football on the King James Radio Network. And again, your final score here from the pit in Carteret, the North Brunswick Raiders 49 and the Carteret Ramblers 7. You folks have a good night.